Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit here, back again with Hunter x Hunter. We are on episode 35, and in the last couple of episodes, Gon and Killua both have essentially wiped off the face of the earth those three stooges. Realvelt, if that's how you pronounce his name, Sadaso and Giro. I don't see any reason why we would need to, why our characters would have to fight them again. They may turn up again because I believe, well, Sadaso's gone, he's not returning, but Realvelt and Giro, I believe, are still able to fight, because I know there's a rule where you can only lose 4 times. You have to win 9 matches, right? But if you lose 4 within those 9 matches, then you're disqualified for that, right? I might be wrong. It might be like 4 in a row. I think there's something like that, but I'm not sure they've gotten 4 losses yet. I might be wrong, but I don't. For the sake of the story, I don't see why we would need to bother with them characters anymore. Anyway, essentially the interesting thing that came out of last episode was at the end, because of Gon's sort of progression, Hisoka has allowed Gon to come and actually challenge him now. So I don't know how long before we actually see that fight go down. I mean, I would think generally that, Gon would, I would like to think that Gon would take the most amount of time to prepare his fight against Hisoka, because Hisoka is very dangerous. But knowing Gon, he would just like to get in as soon as possible, you know what I mean? But, I don't know when we're going to get that fight. I doubt it's going to be in this episode. If it is, I'll be very surprised. But, I don't think we're going to get that. But the only way we're going to find out is if we get into this episode and see what we get. So, without further ado, let's go. Okay, episode 35. Right, well, I can say with absolute certainty that this episode is my favourite episode. And it's not just strictly because of the fact, that we just had that little sort of taster of Gon versus Hisoka at the end, but also the fact of, all of this information regarding Nen is so cool and interesting. I love it. Because up until, everything up until Ren is very, simple. It's not it's almost like the basics, and then Hatsu is where you branch off and find your own individual sort of skill, and then how you use that to make it your own, so to speak. So yeah, that makes sense. The reason why certain characters and whatnot use their Nen differently. This is what determines why they do, how they fight and things like that. So it's all so interesting. I'm kind of gutted I didn't get to see Kurapika go through this and stuff. So I guess it's just going to be a case of they meet up. Eventually, when everyone meets up, they're all going to basically know it. The only one that is interesting is the fact of Leo. That he hasn't. I don't know if he even knows about Nen at this point. I mean, he's been doing a lot of book reading, is what Wing said at the end there. I kind of just want to make sure of that. Where are we? Yeah, Leo has begun studying for the medical school exam. Yeah, so I wonder then, because I always thought that Leo was never going to be the one that he's never going to be really the one to fight. He's going to be more almost like a support character in a way. But I still feel like, in order to become a hunter on the real exam, eventually at some point he's going to have to learn it, So yeah, I don't know. We'll just have to see what goes on with him. But, he's studying for that because, that takes priority. I'm sure we'll get to that at some point. But yeah. It's alright. I guess we don't really need to... I said it during the reaction, but I don't think we really need to spend... more time with Kurapika learning it when we're getting all the information from watching Gon and Killua do it, so I guess it's really not needed, but it would have been interesting to see, especially what Kurapika's is, what his individual class is. I'm trying to think from what he's done. I don't know. I don't think there will be a way for me to tell. Yeah, I don't know if I would be able to tell. But anyway, yeah. So we'll go through all of the things because I wrote them all down, and you know what I mean. I was trying to get through them. I managed to. I did have to go back and look at what each class actually does. I wrote down each class, but then afterwards I had to go back. So just to make sure I got everything right. So yeah, I mean, well, first of all, Gon he was actually preparing, which is something that I didn't think Gon would do because he normally has this sense of like, you know, he's anxious and stuff, and he's quick to want to just get in and straight up fight. So I wonder if this is like something with, you know, because he's been working with I guess working under sort of wing to train this way. I wonder if it's like changing his mentality a bit. I mean, I feel like he'll always be like that sort of like anxious character to get in and fight, but maybe by being with Wing, it's allowed him to sort of take a step back and realize that, you know, not just going straight in, but actually having prepared beforehand, you know, and actually, you know, taking some time if you have it, that is. So yeah, right. So we'll go through them. So Enhancer, right? So Enhancer just, you know, basically what it says on the tin, allows you to strengthen your aura or you know, whatever it is that you're enhancing. Emitter, to propel your aura in a sort of sense. So we haven't seen one of those yet, at least not that we know of anyway. I mean, from the ones that Wing was pointing out, the characters that he said like have these styles, we haven't seen an emitter yet. So it's possible that we could have maybe in another character at some point, but I wouldn't be able to sit here and tell you which ones did. I mean, if it came to, I don't know, propel an aura, I'm trying to think of like the hunters that we've come across, like maybe like in the exam, but I guess, yeah, I don't know. So yeah, emit as propel, transmuter, which is to alter. So that is it's interesting actually, the fact that both Hisoka and Killua are both transmuters. I've always kind of thingied them up like on, you know, I've talked about them two like as almost like as a pairing quite a few times throughout watching this show as well. I don't know if that's just strictly because they are written that way or what. It could just be as simple as the fact is because, like, you know, Killua's fucking, like, you know, powerful, and so is Hisoka, and that's just the reason why. But it's interesting that those two are the same. So yeah, transmuter is allowing to alter. A conjurer to manifest. So yeah, conjurer is an interesting one. That one's like I feel like that one might be quite one of the most interesting ones, I feel like. You know, because at that point you're able to, it's not just a case of having to use things at your disposal that you have, but if you're a conjurer, then you're able to literally conjure something up out of nothing. Well, I guess you use your aura to do it, but, you know, so it would be interesting to see exactly like how far you could take that one. Manipulator to control, that one's an interesting one as well, to control objects and creatures. So I believe then, what's his name? Borbin, I remember him. The snakes and whatnot, right? He was a snake charmer. And what's her name? Began with a P, didn't it? The bee lady. Oh, fuck's sake. I don't know if I'll ever fucking, don't know if I'll be able to find this. It's got to be like episode like 19 or something, right? Ponzu, that was it, right? So Ponzu had that bee, had like, you know, that thing with bees. So I'm wondering if, because they did say like, if you can already know it and then go take the hunter exam, right? There's nothing against that. So there's nothing to say that Ponzu and Borbin both had manipulator Hatsu styles. I mean, I'd imagine so anyway. But yeah, that's an interesting one as well. It's like a sort of hunter class in an MMO or something. And then the interesting one is specialists, which doesn't fall within the other 5. And that's an interesting one. Like it doesn't say exactly what it means. It's just that it doesn't fall within the other 5. When he originally said it, because of the way that, you know, I understand the way this works now, but see if I can find it. But because there is like a sort of screenshot I can bring up here where it is kind of it's odd. So this one here, where because I know the reason why it put me off, because it has specialist in the middle. So when I was watching it through on the when I was reacting to it like the first time, I was sort of confused because I was like, wait a minute, you said there was 6, but specialist is in the middle. But you know, when I went back through it, when I was going back through after the reaction to get all the information, made sure I had everything right, it does this thing, right? So it basically does the fucking subtitle in the middle doesn't move to the bottom for specialist, but I had thought like maybe because it is specialist, it means that you've kind of like in some form you've kind of mastered them all, but I don't think that's the way it works. So yeah, it's I don't know what it means. I mean, I like the way that it works with adjacency, like it's like adjacency bonuses things. I'm trying to remember like what game that is. There's something that uses adjacency bonuses depending on what's compatible with other things, which makes it better if you have them adjacent. I like the way that works, because that basically means then you're fine being like, for instance, so Castro, yeah, he was an enhancer, conjurer by making up 2, right, and manipulator as well, which are basically all of them are completely like the furthest away from each other, right? There's no connecting adjacency, right? So basically trying to do them all is not all that compatible, meaning you can only do one at a time, which makes sense because when he was up against Hisoka, it was the thing that fucked him over in the end. I mean, yeah, Hisoka was playing like the mental game, but the fact is that, you know, Castro was struggling to do them all at once, or a pairing of 2 at any one time, which means that, you know, he wasn't able to use them to their full potential in a way. So I like the fact that if he wanted to, he would probably be able to do it if he had enhancer, transmuter, and conjurer, for example. And then he would probably be able to use them all in conjunction with each other and not have to worry about focusing so much on one. And whatnot. So I like the fact that, yeah, you can like go I'm guessing you are able to master like all of them, right? But that would be tough. The thing that I find interesting is it's almost like the only thing I can really liken it to is like learning a language, and then because they say like if you learn, like the more languages you learn, the easier it becomes to learn a language, right? And that's kind of like how I almost picture this, because if you're like enhancer like Gon is, right, and then you go to learn how to be an emitter, and then once you've like learned emitter, then it's easier to learn manipulator, and then so on, specialist, conjurer, transmuter, you know. So I wonder, the more you learn, the quicker it is to get the hang of the ones that you have left, essentially, you know what I mean? As long as you're not just skipping to something that's not adjacent. But I love the fact that's the way that it works. So what Castro should have done, yeah, is kind of learned, instead of manipulator, you should have learned transmuter, or instead of conjurer, you should have learned emitter instead. So therefore he's able to use them all in conjunction with each other. But yeah, I like the way that works. I also like the way that they test it as well with water divination, because I guess just by having the leaf on top and the water itself, just those 2 kind of elements, each class is able to do something different on not just one little thing. So that's really cool. So yeah, I loved all of that. All that explanation and stuff was interesting to me. And even if we didn't have that teaser at the end, I still think this probably would have been my favorite episode, because it's just interesting to me. It's something different. I don't think I've seen any anime or show really that's done it like this. And I like things that are interesting as well. Like they do something new. Because the things with shonens, like shonen anime and stuff, is that you like a lot of them can feel just very similar. You know what I mean, and very kind of and end up just being kind of mundane and just like, oh, it's just another shonen. You know what I mean? But this is interesting. I like this. So, what we got? Yeah. So, of course, learning Nen was the real exam. I'm sure I said that like a couple episodes ago. I think it was when we got to see Kurapika, for the first time in a bit, when he met that weird dude and he was like, "You're gonna learn Nen or something, right?" And I was like, maybe this is the real exam, because it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, because it seemed like Nen was a big force in this like in this world where, you know, it was almost necessary. You know what I mean? Like, not even to a degree, but it's like, no, it's necessary. If you're going to be a hunter, like, you need this. So it made sense that was the real exam. So yeah, they got their graduation and that's, you know, and yeah, and that's cool. So yeah, and then we got up to the second half. I mean, it wasn't even the second half. It was like the second sort of, like the last quarter of the episode, where it came up to Gon and Hisoka, and they even got a special arena. I don't know what dictated that they got like a special arena to you know, to fight in. I was thinking in my head, well, maybe it's because it's like it's a last win situation. Like, if, you know, Hisoka only needs one more win, therefore, you know, it's a special arena because it's, you know what I mean. But they didn't have that for Castro, and I'm sure Castro had 9 wins, right? And you only need to beat Hisoka to go up against the Floor Master, and they didn't have that that arena then. So I don't know. I guess it could just be for us, like for our sake. It's like, oh, this is a special, you know what I mean? This is special because we know both these characters, and you know they've kind of been sort of you know, threaded by fate throughout the whole show. So it's like it's a special thing. So I can imagine them just being like, oh no, it's a special event. This is mostly for us. So I guess it could just be that. So yeah, so it began, and when I was expecting, right, like a Midoriya versus Todoroki like end, like the episode before, when it's like it sets it up, they're about to fight, and then the episode ends, right? I was expecting that. And then the match started, and it's like, who's going to jump first? It's like, well, obviously Gon is, you know what I mean? Hisoka doesn't really go for the fight first. He kind of lets them come to him. So Gon went to attack, and I thought, alright, it's going to stop when, just before he throws a punch. And then it kept going. I was like, what the fuck is happening? And it barely stopped. Like, they were brawling for quite a while there, where it just didn't stop. And the weird thing that got me, right, I need to look at this, because this didn't make sense to me, really. So the whole points thing, right, is interesting to me, because I feel like I don't know, like sometimes it doesn't. Like, in this fight, Hisoka hit him a few times, and he only came away with 1 point in that first, like, brawl. I'm going to see if I can find it. It's when, I mean, you can, yeah, right, so he does this thing there, right? He clearly hits him in the gut. I mean, if that's not a clean hit, I don't know what is. And he only ends up getting 1 clean hit at the very end. Like, at the very end of this brawl. Like, when he hits him away. And it's like, where is it? It's around here somewhere, right? Hits him there. That, right? On the face. And it's like, a clean hit. You know what I mean? Now, I guess it could be a case of, like, maybe, I mean, I don't know. Because I feel like it's important that you know how many points is where. I was going to say, like, maybe the referee just hasn't been calling out the points where he's clearly been hit, but that is more than one point. Like, 1 point, Hisoka's got more than 1 point there. Technically, he should have, because he hit him in the gut, and that is a clean hit. It's not like a case of like, oh, it can only be hit in the face. Like, a gut is a clean hit. I don't know. Because they didn't specify that when they were specifying, like when they were telling us the rules and stuff. They were like, oh, clean hit can only be in the face. They didn't say that, you know? And that's the thing, is like when Gon was up against Guido, when he was getting hit with the spinning tops and stuff, like Gon was getting hit like in the back and everything, that was counting as a clean hit. So I don't know, like I don't know how that works. If you guys know, let me know in the comments. But other than that, I don't know why. But yeah, another thing there as well, like you probably would have seen like in the call, like he has sharp claws, Hisoka, which is interesting because that is what Killua had, right? Now that is interesting because I'm guessing that has something to do with it being a transmuter then, because it allows you to alter, right? So you can alter yourself, which makes sense, and that it's probably safe to assume that Illumi is a transmuter as well then. So I'm guessing it's a thing that could probably tell us that it runs in the family then as well. Like if you're part of the same family, the chances of you being like, you know, it being passed down through genes, you're going to be the same. I would like to know if that's like the case, and also if there's like a percentage on maybe sometimes it might not be. But you know, it makes sense that being a transmuter, and it allows you to alter your aura, which, you know, in turn allow you to alter your sort of appearance by, you know, getting sharp claws and stuff. And also with Illumi, like, you know, when he changed his face into like Gitaraka, right? So, or from Gitaraka into Illumi. So yeah, interesting. I just love this episode. It was great. I don't think there's anything else. There was a lot of information in that episode, so I'm trying to think on if there's anything that I missed. Wing is just an enhancer. Zushi is a manipulator. So yeah, he's able to control objects and creatures. I don't think we've ever seen him do so though. I don't think we've seen him do anything. But yeah, I mean, you know, he still hasn't graduated yet, has he? So, you know what I mean? He knows, when we first met him, he knew Ren, right? And he tried to use it, and Wing was like, no, not now. You're not allowed. You're not done yet. So up at this point, I imagine he's allowed to use Ren at this point. Then, if he's teaching Hatsu to him, you know, I'm guessing he's allowed to use Ren at this point. So yeah, it's not a surprise that we haven't seen like Zushi do anything like that, because he hadn't learned it, you know. So makes sense. Yeah, Guido had enhancer and manipulator. That makes sense because obviously he was enhancing the sort of the spin of the spin tops and then manipulating them by obviously manipulating objects, right? And yeah, I think that's all I've got. But yeah, that's interesting. I mean, now that's kind of what most piques my interest now about characters we meet, is that what's their thing. I'm trying to think what the girls was. The girl that healed up Hisoka. Because I guess it could almost be like, maybe she's a manipulator because she was able to control those like threads and whatnot and stuff, right? Maybe she's a manipulator, but she seemed very fucking decent at it. The one that really I want to know about is Specialist, because it doesn't say anything about it, and it's clearly in its own thing. It's like, but it doesn't fall within the other five. Right, I'm gonna have a look. I need to have a look at that subtitle again. I just need to make sure it's not. It says that it doesn't fall within. Because if it says it falls within, then I got it wrong. But then maybe it's a case of like you can do all of them at once. I don't know. But where are we? Where are we? Where are we? There. Right. So, specialist. Oh god, it's like way further back than I thought. Sorry about this, guys. Yeah, specialists are those with a special aura. A special aura that doesn't fall. Yeah, it doesn't fall within the other 5 classes. And that's all you get. So I'm guessing if you're to have a specialist or like aura, then like if that is your style, then I guess that's like considered rare. I don't think it can't be rare enough to where like you don't know what it does, right? Surely. I don't know, but that one piques my interest more than the others for obvious reasons. But yeah, that's all I've got. So yeah, very good episode. Already enjoyed that one. Thank you everyone for watching. In the description below, I have links to certain things. One of them is the Discord. If you want any information regarding my content at all, you can get yourself over there. You can also come talk to me out of the community as well, and Patreon as well. So I do have a Patreon. If you do want to support me, that'd be very much appreciated. There's a bunch of different tiers and rewards depending on how much you want to support me with. So there's the early access tier for $5 a month. That gives you access to shows a week early, and you get 4 episodes of Hunter x Hunter every week as well. Full length, that is a $10 a month, gives you access to my full length library. Everything I took it's a full length. Exclusive tier, $15 a month, although that is changing, so don't worry about that right now. It might actually already be changed by the time this episode comes out. Elite tier and God tier as well, so those are like $50 and $100. They basically give you a choice of a show that you want me to react to, and I will react to it, so they'll be put into the list and whatever, and they'll be reacted to eventually. And that is all. So yeah, as of right now, there's been some changes. If you haven't seen, like I've put messages out there on Patreon and on YouTube, where I was doing this full time for quite a while, actually a year, just over a year actually. Oh fuck! I've just dropped my pen. Yeah, so it was great. Like being able to do this full time was amazing. But it has fallen off quite a bit, so I'm not getting paid as much on Patreon anymore. Which is sad, but yeah, it means that I've had to go back to work. So you know, there's been like a sort of like a slowing of uploads a bit, but you know, that's just while I get reacclimated. You know what I mean? So I'll be, you know, everything will be stay in the way that it is in terms of sort of like the scheduling and stuff while I get reacclimated. So don't worry about that. But it's just so that, you know, everyone who watches, they know. So yeah, that's cool. But that is all. So yeah, so thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.